Good morning, guys. Welcome to your last lesson of the week. Just in terms of the last lesson, I have had to be doing loads and loads of higher stuff. So I haven't gone over your work for whenever I saw you last. So I'll be actually checking through all of your work today. So you'll get your feedback or you'll get your marks, whatever, as you're doing today's lesson. If you obviously have any questions, you can comment because I'll be online. Yeah, okay, so we must just get started because usually I would use this little bit to give a bit of feedback on the previous week lesson, but I cannot do that right now. So today's lesson is going to be on creating your characters. Up until now, we've just been doing practice. We've been practicing skills such as show not tell, such as five senses, such as kind of metaphor and simile and things like that. And it's time to actually make a start on planning our stories, which is maybe getting to the interesting part. I don't know if you found it boring so far. So, to start with, I want to show you kind of how to describe a character well. We're going to analyze a description, and then at the end of the lesson, you're actually going to write your own description for your assassin. So, just to remind you from last week, we're going to be using show not tell, which is a standard. As I said, it's what's always used in creative writing. So if we choose specific details, it will make the character description better because it forces the reader to create a picture in their mind. So this is exactly the same as before. If I said the assassin is an ugly man, no, everyone would have kind of a different idea as to what that means. So can you kind of paint a picture? Equally, can you have them doing something which makes them then seem more unpleasant? So for example, you could say he was say we're talking about the victim, he's a disgusting man, right? It's that will be telling, and the reader would go, well, I don't really know what that means. But if you described him as picking his nose and then wiping it somewhere, then that gives you a way better description, doesn't it? Now everybody knows that he's kind of a slob, he's kind of disgusting, he doesn't care about other people. So that's what I mean again by showing with a few kind of descriptions of the person, you can kind of paint a way better picture. So I don't want any of you in your story saying anything like, he was, even saying she was a good looking woman or he was a scary looking man. No, have them describe how they look, have them do certain actions, and that might kind of, it will make the description a lot better. So I'm going to show you an example. I'll read it through first. He shuffled forward, squinting wickedly at my daughter. Drawing back his lips in the most sickening smile, he displayed teeth yellowed with age and neglect. He extended his filthy paw and grasped my hand. Leaning forward as he did so, he sent me reeling with disgust with the foul stink of his breath. So, I'm trying to think of something you wouldn't know there. Reeling means kind of sent me kind of like staggering backwards. I think everything else you should know. So I've got a quick close reading task for you to start with. How does the writer use word choice to create an unpleasant description of the man? It's worth 4 marks. Okay, so word choice questions are really easy. You just need to find 4 words and then tell me what those words suggest. And you have got to say how that suggests he's unpleasant. Okay, so you could, for example, go for wickedly as your first one. But there's absolutely tons in there. You've got to do 4. It's just please do not quote a whole line in a RUAE exam or test. When we ask you to quote, we mean 1 word, maybe 2. Okay, so for example, you could do filthy paw, but equally you could do filthy and paw as 2 separate ones, as long as you have something different to say about them. So 4 of those. This shouldn't take you very long. Please pause and get that done now. Okay. That should be you done. I'm looking forward to seeing what you come up with. I think the trick is to try and make your analysis quite specific. So the worst thing you can do is say, wickedly suggests he's unpleasant. You can't say that. You tell me, what does wicked suggest? What does it mean? What does it mean to be wicked? So make sure you each one of your analysis is slightly different and it says its own thing. Okay, so that is a good example of the way that we can describe a character. We've got the way he moves. You've got the kind of his personality there. This idea that he's kind of a bad person. You've got him being quite unpleasant. He doesn't brush his teeth. That's a bit like the person picking their nose. It's an action that then tells you a lot more about them. Um, he grasped the hand, so you were getting an idea of kind of sort of them maybe being a bit quite strong, but quite kind of like in your face. So there's loads and loads of stuff here. This is far better than just saying the assassin was a horrible looking man or something like that. So let's move off of other people's writing and let's start thinking about your own. I would like you to fill out this following table with what you would like your assassin to be like. Okay, so you've got your first one is their physical appearance or clothing. Now, I'm not asking you to write out sentences here. This is just notes, and you could totally ignore half of those notes when you actually come to writing the story in a few lessons' time. So you could write down a lot of stuff and maybe only keep some, or you can keep it all. So physical appearance, clothing. So you could start from the head and work your way down. Are they wearing a hat? Are they wearing what kind of t-shirt are they wearing? Whatever. Also think about their physical appearance. Their people tend to notice straight away things like teeth, things like fingernails, things like shoes and things like that. That's one of the things I notice straight away anyway. So be specific and don't. I honestly, this class, you guys are really, really good, and I don't know if you would do this, but I've had classes before where people have just decided to dress up their characters just almost like randomly. This gives you an idea of when this was, but I've had times when people have decided to clothe their characters in Fortnite skins. Oh my goodness, just, oh dear, no, please don't do that. If you make a choice to dress your character, you are choosing to describe your character like that, okay? So if you were reading a book and it describes what the character is wearing, the author is purposefully trying to tell us something with that. Now that can be done with the style of the clothing, the state of the clothing, the color of the clothing. You guys know that colors are important, okay? So please don't just say, oh, well, they're wearing a Nike top, they're wearing Converse shoes, because that doesn't tell me. I mean, the only thing it tells me is that they are maybe quite young, but make sure that with everything you are saying, it actually does tell you something about them. Okay, so personality. Do you think your assassin's going to be very confident, or do you think maybe they don't even want to be an assassin? Are they quite nervous? Are they quite scared? You can add in any kind of background stuff about them too. You could maybe say they are, where they're from, or that they are an orphan, or any kind of backstory there. And skills, what can they do? Okay, that's fair enough. I think you can work that one out. Remember, if you're going to make someone's personality a certain way, their skills should maybe reflect that. Unless you want to make it kind of comedy, you could have somebody who's really, really, really confident, but is really terrible at aiming a gun or things like that. So think about how you kind of want the skills to match up with the personality, and equally how you want all of those to match up with the physical appearance and clothing. Okay, so I will give you a few minutes just to work your way through the table. Just copy it out onto your notes or type it out onto a Word document with what you want. Now remember, I'm not going to be looking at this too closely because I'm aware that you might change your mind or you might add in more stuff. I'm just going to be glancing over to see what kind of ideas, and I want to see that there's a kind of some thought has gone into how this can match this, and this can match this, and you're not just randomly putting in red t-shirt, likes dogs, good at lock picking, because that doesn't really tell me much about them at all. Okay, your final task. Oh, give it a pause if you haven't done this task yet. Pause. Okay, your final task is to write a description of your assassin walking into a restaurant in 4 or 5 sentences. Okay, so you've got your table, which gives you a load of information about them. Now, they could be walking in wearing exactly what you said, or a slight variation upon it. Maybe they've dressed up for the restaurant, I don't know. And you're going to have them walking in. Now, you can decide if you want them just to be a straight description of them walking through the door and us kind of watching them. It could be from their point of view. So they might want to describe themselves. Maybe they see themselves in the mirror and they describe themselves. They could interact with the waiter. They could go and sit down. They could go into the restaurant and murder somebody if you want, as long as you have put in these at least the kind of physical description, a bit of the personality, and maybe some kind of display of skill using the skill of show not tell. So you're not just saying he looked fierce, he was dangerous, anything like that. I want some kind of rich description now. I'm actually really confident that you guys will be fine with this because up until now, all the stuff I've been marking has been really original. Like a lot of you have been saying, well done on your originality. So that should be absolutely fine. If you are not 100%, just keep it very, very straight. Just sort of say the assassin walked through the door of the restaurant and then just give me a straight description of him, if that's what you want to do. But if you want to try and make it a bit more creative, then by all means. Remember, if you maybe you're planning to have a restaurant scene in your story anyway, you might even be able to just copy this straight over if it's really good. So I'll leave you to do that and read all over once you are done. I think I see you Monday afternoon, so I'll set the deadline to get this done for then. Okay, and I'll in the meantime try and get your previous lessons stuff all marked and returned. All right, guys, thank you very much. Enjoy this. I'm looking forward to reading what you come up with. Bye.